Well, hello, folks out there in YouTube land. Got a big show lined up for you. Let's get right on into it. All right, folks. Yeah, we got ourselves a freshman. He's doesn't sweat the SEC too much. And you want to talk about bulletin board material. This is it. And this story comes from Athlon Sports by Alec Arend. It says FSU QB Brock Glenn sends bold message to the SEC ahead of the Orange Bowl clash with Georgia. It says the big bad SEC was no match for the Seminoles of Florida State during the regular season. They did win 2 SEC games. And it talks about them being left out of the playoff. Of course, they were because of Jordan Travis. And not only are they going to be missing Jordan Travis, but also their backup quarterback, Tate Rodemaker, which is very unfortunate. So they've got freshman Brock Glenn, who's already played 1 ball game. Didn't go so well, honestly. And he has been kind of bold. He was bold before the Louisville game, and that didn't go so well. They won the ball game, though. And now he's being pretty bold going into this Orange Bowl. And here it says, Glenn is confident that FSU can beat its 3rd SEC team this season after taking down LSU in Florida. He said, we've played 2 SEC teams and won both of them, LSU and Florida. So you can say what you want about the SEC, but we're just as good. Both teams are top in the country, so this will be a good and exciting matchup. All right, so here's the thing. Georgia's going into this game. They don't have anything to be inspired or fired up about. They're ticked off. They're not in the playoff. It's just, it's a big letdown to them. They've won the last 2 national championships. So going in this game, you would expect a letdown, wouldn't you? The last thing Florida State needs to do is give them bulletin board material because, honestly, they're already a almost 3-touchdown underdog. Tate Rodemaker opting out really hurt them because, you know, he played okay against Florida. But this young man who is a true freshman, okay, this is not some guy that's got a lot of experience or some sort of a veteran. He's far from it. And I'll show you his numbers in the first game that he started. And it was right here, 8 for 21, 55 yards with a 2.6 yard average per pass. And his QBR rating was 11.7. I don't think I've ever seen one that low before. And again, this was against Louisville. And Louisville just got boat raced by USC by their backup quarterback. It wasn't even by their starting quarterback. So honestly, this is tough enough for FSU because they've got a ton of opt-outs. Their wide receivers are opting out. Their top running backs out. Their top edge rushers out. I mean, it's just so on and so forth. And Georgia's got Carson Beck. You know, they've got their most important player, and he's going to play, and he's really good. Brock Glenn, I don't want to sit here and get on the guy, but he's a true freshman. Let me kind of give you his background. And this was when he was being recruited. He's 6'2", 195. He's considered a low 4-star or a high 3-star. He's ranked 481st in the country, and he was the number 21 quarterback. Actually came out of the state of Tennessee. I'll be dogged. Number 9 in the state. He's out of Covington, Tennessee, of all places. So I'm certainly not going to root against the kid, but he doesn't need to be giving Georgia any bulletin board material, and here's why. What I just read to you didn't sound that bad. You know, what was it he said? We've played 2 SEC teams. We beat both of them. That could be considered a little bit, you know, it's true, but it could come across a little bit arrogant, but not, you know, that's not bad. And then he says, you can say what you want about the SEC, but we're just as good. That's another one where they could really twist it because here's what they're going to hear in Georgia. Because Kirby Smart, he's the master manipulator of getting guys inspired. He always wants to be disrespected. He always wants his team to feel disrespected. He's all about that. He and Nick Saban both are the king of reverse rat poison. And so here's how he's going to tell it. And here's how the defensive line coach and the linebackers coach are going to tell their players. Did you hear what Brock Glenn just said? Yeah, he said the SEC is nothing. He said, we already whooped 2 of them twice. You think we can't handle this one? Ha! That's how they're going to tell it to him. And then he's going to say, we're just as good as any SEC club. That's for sure. We're 2-0. That's how they're going to tell him. And then the Georgia players are going to be like this. Exactly. They're going to be fired up. It gives them a reason to play and to get excited, which is the last thing Georgia needs. Because here's the thing. FSU is going to go into this. They already feel incredibly cheated. They've got a perfect record of 13-0. They got creaked out of the playoff because of this stupid 4-team nonsense setup, and they lost their quarterback, which just took all the oxygen out of the room. Florida State's a fine team. I'm telling you, their defense, prior to opt-outs and prior to their offense losing their quarterback and all these other – look, their top 5 players are out. But they're a fine club, and this is going to be a completely different team that Georgia's facing. It's not even close to the same team. So it's really tremendously unfair to FSU fans out there that are going to be like, oh, man, this is going to be an exhibition against Georgia. And now Georgia's got a reason to get fired up. And it doesn't take much. And I think they're going to have a bit of a party out there. We'll see. Now, I expect FSU in the first quarter to come out there and fight like crazy. That's what I would expect. But after that, the talent's going to rise, and Georgia's probably going to have their way. I would fully expect, especially with Carson Beck, because he's out there to prove a few things, and I believe he just got squared away financially because he's coming back next year, and he wanted $4 million. I highly doubt he got that much, but I'm sure he got at least $2 million. So he's probably ready to show the Georgia Bulldog fan base, we're going to win next year. Don't you worry. Everybody calm down. And beating FSU up and down the field will do exactly that. So this is probably going to be a very difficult ending for FSU, and I hate it for them. They really deserved a much better outcome in 2023 than this. But there's not much you can do. And I don't have any problem with a freshman quarterback having some confidence. There's nothing wrong with that. But you really don't need to be poking the bear, and especially when the bear is wearing red and black and got GA on their uniform. That's probably not the bear to poke, in my opinion. So we'll see how this goes, but I'm thinking 3 touchdowns is about right. And we'll see. It might end up worse than that. Who knows? Maybe FSU will shock the world. If they did, that's fine with me. But they don't need their little freshman quarterback running his jaw because they're just going to wear him out. And for Brock Glenn, I know you're not afraid of the SEC, and you're certainly not afraid of Georgia. But I will tell you this.
You will be. You will be.
Yeah, you will be. Anyway, if you like this content, be sure to hit that like button. Lets me know to continue to cover my Vols, of course, the SEC. And we've got Nico going to start, so we're all excited about that. And he was the #1 player in the country last year, and I think he's going to have a heck of a game against a very good Iowa defense. It should be a really fun game. And hopefully Brock Glenn has a good game. I'm not rooting against him at all, but I am concerned. And if you haven't subscribed, just hit this little button on the right. It'll help you get my content. And right over here's the most recent video YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. And we'll see you next time on Sports Talk Jay.
Merry Christmas! General!